Now is the moment of magic, when the whole round earth turns again toward the sun. And here's a blessing. The days will be longer and brighter now, even before the winter settles in to chill us.
Now is the moment of magic, when people, beaten down and broken, with nothing left but misery and candles and their own clear voices, kindle tiny lights and whisper secret music.
And here's a blessing. The dark universe is suddenly illuminated by the lights of the menorah, suddenly ablaze with the lights of the Kinara, and the whole world is glad and loud with winter singing.
Now is the moment of magic, when the eastern star beckons the ignorant toward an unknown goal. And here is a blessing. They find nothing in the end but an ordinary baby, born at midnight, born in poverty, and the baby's cry, like bells ringing, makes people wonder as they wander through their lives what human love might really look like, sound like, feel like.
Now is the magic moment, and here's a blessing. We already possess all the gifts we need. We've already received our presents: ears to hear music, eyes to behold lights, hands to build true peace on earth, and to hold each other tight in love. Could we now stand as we're willing and able for our first hymn, O Come, All Ye Faithful.
You may be seated. We kindle a small flame in the dark of the year, remembering the promise of life abundant, of a possible peace. We pause on this night of mystery to tell the stories, to sing the songs, and to bring more light into the world.
Chrissy and I will read some verses in our responsive reading, and we would like for you to participate and join with us in saying 2 lines. May we awaken to the spirit of Christmas, and may we embody to the presence of love. Could we practice that? Could you say after me, may we awaken to the spirit of Christmas, may we embody the presence of love. There's still time to journey with those who are lonely or in despair. May we awaken to the spirit of Christmas. May we embody the presence of love.
There is still time to shelter those who are hungry or homeless. May we awaken to the spirit of Christmas. May we embody the presence of love.
There's still time to answer the call of those who are waiting for justice. May we awaken to the spirit of Christmas. May we embody the presence of love.
There is still time to cross the threshold to freedom, still time to cross the threshold of hope. May we awaken to the spirit of Christmas. May we embody the presence of love.
Every child, one more Redeemer. In each new life is a spark divine. One more voice for compassion. One more Holy Son. One more chance to restore and repeat and receive. This is our faith. This is our faith. We believe every child beings one more Redeemer, one more Redeemer, brings one more Redeemer to this world. Brings one more Redeemer to this world. Brings one more Redeemer to this world. Every child brings one more, brings one more Redeemer to this
It's okay. Good evening. So, tomorrow is Christmas, as you may have figured out. Tomorrow is also the first night of Hanukkah. So I have a story this evening that has some elements from both. And it goes like this. Oscar's mother and father believed in blessings. And so did Oscar, until the night of the broken glass. After that night, Oscar was sent on a boat to America where he would be safer. He was sent with two things. He was sent with a picture of his aunt, Esther, who he had never ever met, and her address. And he was sent with a reminder from his parents. His parents told him, Oscar, even in bad times, people can be good. You have to look for the blessings. So Oscar arrived in New York City on Christmas Eve. It was also the seventh night of Hanukkah, seventh day of Hanukkah. He arrived during the day. And he had to get to Aunt Esther's house before sundown so that he could be there when they lit the candles. Now, Aunt Esther lived in the 100 blocks of Broadway. And Oscar was way down in Lower Manhattan. He had to walk 100 blocks up a big, wide road named Broadway that stretched out in front of him like a river. He was so small, and the city was so big, and he wasn't sure if he would make it. He started walking, and he came upon a woman who was feeding pigeons. She had a little crust of bread, and she was breaking off pieces to feed the birds. And Oscar saw her, and she caught his eye, and she gave him a piece of the bread to feed to the birds. And Oscar really wanted to feed the birds, but also he was really hungry. He hadn't had a meal that day, and he knew he had to walk a long way. And so, even though he felt bad about it, he ate the little piece of stale bread. The woman saw him, and she reached into her bag, and she pulled out a fresh roll studded with raisins, still a little bit warm, and she gave it to Oscar. And he thought about those words that his parents had told him, that even in bad times, people can be good. You have to look for the blessings. He kept walking, and he saw a newsstand where there were comic books, kind of like right at eye level for a young boy. And he saw in one of the comic books there was this man with big muscles and a cape, and he could do all these amazing things. He could stop a train with his hand. He could carry people while they were flying. He could do these like super things, like he was some kind of Superman. Oscar was amazed by this character. Now, the man who was running the newsstand, he held out his hand for payment for the comic book. Oscar didn't have any money, so he put the book back. But the man said, "You know what, kid? Keep it. It's Christmas. Merry Christmas." And he gave Oscar the comic book. And Oscar thought, even in bad times, people can be good. You have to look for the blessings. He kept walking along, and he heard a sound. He heard someone whistling. He looked down on a hallway or an alley, and he saw a man there whistling a little tune. Oscar caught his eye, and the man started whistling at Oscar, and Oscar whistled back. And they whistled back and forth, their sounds bouncing off the buildings like the snow falling in the sky. It was his first conversation in America. And Oscar thought, even in bad times, people can be good. You have to look for the blessings. Oscar kept going, and he passed a park, and there were boys playing with a ball, and they were throwing it back and forth, and they were having so much fun. One of the boys tripped and fell, and Oscar grabbed him before he hit the sidewalk. Oscar felt like that Superman in the comic books. He was able to help someone and save the day. The boy was so grateful. He shook Oscar's hand and noticed that Oscar's hand was red and raw from the cold. The boy took off his own mittens and gave them to Oscar. Oscar didn't have anything to give in return except for the Superman comic, and so he gave it in exchange for those warm mittens. The warmth of them reminded him of his parents, and he thought, even in bad times, people can be good. You have to look for the blessings. It was getting dark. Oscar was sure he was going to miss sundown. He was going to miss the lighting of the candles. He started to run, and he slipped and fell, and someone came and helped him back up, patted him, made sure he was okay. You have to look for the blessings. Finally, Oscar was in a neighborhood that seemed so familiar. The smells smelled like home. He heard a woman singing a prayer. And then he heard, "Benjamin?" And Oscar turned and said, "That's my father's name. I am." And the woman, Esther, said, "Oscar, we've been waiting for you." Thank you for listening to my story this evening. Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Chrissy. Once a year, at this special time of year, in our Christmas Eve services, we have a special collection that is unique. And the collection that we receive tonight will go to help members of our congregation who are experiencing a time of financial distress or crisis. And this fund, through the years, has helped a number of families and persons in this congregation to make it through a very difficult patch in their life. So we encourage you to think about that as you prepare for today's offering. And I invite the ushers to come forward at this time to receive this special offering at this special service. And thank you very deeply for the gifts you give. From the Gospel of Luke, I begin the Christmas story. In those days, Caesar Augustus issued a decree that a census should be taken of the entire Roman world. And everyone went to their town to register. So Joseph also went up from the town of Nazareth in Galilee to Judea, to Bethlehem, the town of David, because he belonged to the house and line of David. He went there to register with Mary, who was pledged to be married to him and was expecting a child. While they were there, the time came for the baby to be born, and she gave birth to her firstborn, a son. She wrapped him in clothes and placed him in a manger, because there was no guest room available for them. Could you please remain seated as we sing Away in a Manger?
Continuing our story from Luke. And there were shepherds living out in the fields nearby, keeping watch over the flocks at night. An angel of the Lord appeared to them, and the glory of the Lord shone around them, and they were terrified. But the angel said to them, "Do not be afraid. I bring you good news that will cause great joy for all the people. Today in the town of David, a Savior has been born to you. He is the Messiah, the Lord. This will be a sign for you. You will find a baby wrapped in clothes, lying in a manger." Suddenly, a great company of heavenly hosts appeared with the angel, praising God and saying, "Glory to God in the highest heaven, and on earth peace to those on whom his favor rests." You can sit, and we're going to sing "Angels We Have Heard on High."
When the angels had left them and gone into heaven, the shepherds said to one another, "Let's go to Bethlehem and see this thing that has happened, which the Lord has told us about." So they hurried off and found Mary and Joseph and the baby who was lying in the manger. When they had seen him, they spread the word concerning what had been told about them, about this child. And all who heard it were amazed at what the shepherds said to them. But Mary treasured up all these things and pondered them in her heart. The shepherds returned, glorifying and praising God for all the things they had heard and seen, which were just as they had been told. Let us stand as we're willing and able for our next hymn, Joy to the World. Please be seated. There are so many religious holidays in this month. Jewish, Christian, Buddhist, earth-based, and African-based traditions. They are all splendid and wonderful in their own way, and they are also very different on their surfaces. But if we look below the surfaces of each of these traditions, we find that they point to similar hopes, aspirations, and yearnings of the human spirit, which cannot die, but forever reemerge even in the hardest of times and circumstances. Behind all the surface differences of these religious traditions is the idea that deep within us, we all aspire to and hope for and yearn for a life based on empathy, compassion, justice, peace, harmony, and joy. And that we hope society would be guided by these values. And all these traditions, in their unique ways, guide us towards these directions. But there is a big difference between what we aspire to, what we might long for, and what we actually find life to be. And yet we hold on to this hope that life may be, that we may have, and that we might be surrounded by empathy, compassion, justice, peace, and joy. Each religious tradition has its special character and message. In the Christmas story, God comes to live among human beings in the humble form of a vulnerable child, born of a poor and powerless couple in her humble circumstances amid dangers, threats, and uncertainties. The story reflects that not many people saw the significance of this event, which symbolizes the idea that not everybody is awake to the possibility it suggests. The story conveys the message that God took on human form and appeared in the most humble of circumstances, not among the powerful and great, but among the humble. What happened at the birth of Jesus foreshadowed the story of his later life, that his presence was not always welcomed. A star brings to attention that Jesus' birth symbolizes that what was happening was of cosmic importance and significance. Light is the symbol of illumination of the mind and heart, a liberation from darkness. The story, centered in the birth of a child, symbolizes that something new coming into the world is always happening and always possible, and that with every new life, new possibilities are born. The story occurs among dangers and uncertainties, which symbolizes the struggle we experience between war and peace, despair and hope, fairness and injustice, suffering and compassion, indifference and empathy. Like the baby Jesus and his family, we live precariously in such a world. The idea behind all religious traditions is that we have the powers of choice, of intentionality, of awareness, and that we can choose to make peace, justice, empathy, and compassion and joy our compass. The purpose of a community like ours, this very community, is just that: to awaken, to support, and sustain people in their efforts to fulfill their lives through commitments to values that uplift human beings, the human spirit, and the human project. Many of us will open, if we are lucky, many gifts tomorrow. But one of the greatest gifts each of us can receive is this community itself, those gathered right here in this very moment, and the people of this community. This community of people gathered here are among the long line of people through the ages who have committed themselves to trying to bring to life a community based on compassion, joy, empathy, and justice, and that is a wonderful thing. Through each of you and through this congregation, we are participating in this endeavor that stretches back through the centuries to keep hope alive for the human family, that people can be together in a way that truly makes meaning. And this might be the most wonderful gift any of us can receive. Thank you to each of you, to all of you, for all you do, for the care and compassion you bring to the world. And may we share the light within us with the world. Let us stand now for our closing hymn, Silent Night, and we will pass the light amongst ourselves.
Tell them how to do the light.
May each of us be aware of the light within us. May each of us be aware of the importance of sharing our light with the world. May we go in peace as we share our benediction with each other. If we can have it on the screen. There you go. Let us join together. For those who come here seeking God, may God go with you. For those who come here for life, may life return your affection. And for those who come to seek a path, may a way be found and the courage to take it step by step. Blessed be. Merry Christmas.